Today I'm going to show you how to make a compost tote where you can compost all your kitchen scraps all fall and into winter, and you don't have to grow in it right now. If you wanted to, you could, but this is not for growing. I took a purple table. Well, it wasn't purple. It was white originally. It was old. And I got some tester paint from Home Depot. And so that's what I painted it with. So you can do anything you want. You want a nice stable table that's going to be able to hold a tote. And this is a shorter tote, but you can get the 18-gallon ones that will support your tote because you're going to fill it. What you're going to have to do here is drain holes. So many of you have asked me, do you put holes in your containers? Yes, I hesitate because sometimes I don't, but we're not going to talk about that. Yes, yes, yes. Holes we want to put in because you need drainage. If you want the microbes to live in there, and if you want the earthworms, and if you want your plants to live, you got to have drain holes because the soil must drain. These are not water plants. So I'm going to put here some holes, and I think 3 or 4, well, maybe 5 are fine as long as it drains. Now I'm going to fill this. Now, I did use cardboard here, which I had from, of course, boxes that get delivered to the house. I didn't use anything with much ink on it, and I'm putting that on the bottom. This is going to work perfect for any earthworms or microbes that are in there. And then things I collected from around the yard, leaves, branches, if you've got wood chips, use that. But anything that's bulky, you want to make sure that when the water gets down to the bottom, it's not going to just sit there. If you collect dirt, soil out of your area, and let's say it's more sandy or clay-like, it's just going to cake up. So you don't want anything that's going to cake. Now, toilet paper rolls I added in here, as you saw, and this is kitchen scraps. Anything that was once alive, anything that grew from the earth. And yes, that does include your junk mail that comes. Don't worry about the little ink, because all the ink here, I know in California, is basically soy. It's going to break down, disappear. And this has got, as you can see, dragon fruit, eggshells, greens, whatever I've got, potato peels or potatoes or rotten food. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want, you can put in there, it will break down. And then I covered it with soil from just collected around here. It doesn't matter what it is. It had leaves and sticks in it. And then a good dose of water. Now, if I was smart, I would put my bucket under there, but I knew right now, I washed the bucket out that had the kitchen scraps. I knew that it was going to soak in first, so I had a little time. We'll talk about the bucket later. But the point is, you want to get this damp. Now, my hopes right now is when I collected some soil around the property that I maybe got some earthworm eggs. And a lot of times you can find that in damp soil. If I got some earthworms in there too, that would be great. But the microbes will do a great job. And now I'm going to put some cardboard on top to hold the dampness in. Now I'm going to put my cover on, but we're still missing something. Oxygen. And there's no oxygen with a cover. I do have holes on the bottom, but I do want a cover for the winter. Though we're not in winter yet, we're in fall, it doesn't matter. I don't want it to rain in there. And I want to keep it covered in case I do want to put chicken bones or something in there. So here I'm going to take my soldering iron. That's a power unit I use around here. But you can plug in your soldering iron any way you want. You could use a drill if you want. And I'm going to make holes all along the rim towards the top because I don't fill my totes, really none of them, to the top. And this one, we could go back later and just plant in it, but this is not for planting. I want a lot of ventilation. I want those fruit flies and critters to get in there and find my kitchen scraps in this container and break it down like nature does. You don't see anybody out there turning and turning in nature, do you? Do you ever go to the forest, go hiking, and do you see somebody out there with a pitchfork or a shovel and they're under a pine tree digging and turning? Or do you ever go to the hillsides around you and do you see nature hiring somebody to dig and turn and do something to the soil? Well, that's not feasible. It's not true. Nobody's doing that unless they want to. I'm doing it nature's way. In other words, it will break down and be perfect, just the way nature intended it. But nature also did intend oxygen because nature doesn't really cover other than leaves and matter falling already off the trees. So here I want to make sure I can leave the cover on it so no critters get inside. And if you can't make the holes from the outside, make it from the inside. And then once you've got all those holes you want, make as many as you want, towards the top, of course. Now with all these ventilation holes, I can put that cover on and just lock it. and not have to worry about rain or critters getting in there. You can put anything you want in this compost bin, and we're not going to turn it or do anything to it. Covered the top with some cardboard, but here I want you to see something. I put in all kinds of stuff, old tomatoes and different things, anything I had that, kitchen scraps are basically stuff out of your garden. Do you see what's growing in there? I believe those are all tomato seeds. There might be some pepper seeds in there too. It is growing in the sticks. It hasn't been there that long. I did let this sit for a week because I didn't put the holes in right away when you saw me putting this together. And when I came back, figured I better get those holes because I had the lid kinked, to the side so there would be oxygen. Everything that was in there started to grow. So don't let anybody tell you you have to wait till it's completely broke down, because nature doesn't do it that way. But now I can seal it up, and there's my bucket. And let me tell you something. I've been taking the water that's coming out of the bottom, which is like compost tea. It's fabulous. And I've been watering the plants on the table there. And this was a tiny, tiny pepper plant that I grew from nothing just recently, and it just exploded into life. Look at this. This plant, I'm taking the weeds out, I don't want anything else growing, is full of flowers right now. It is growing peppers already in the fall. It's up against the house here, and it's getting the richest water it can get. So why not? So I'm going to keep it right there, continue to water it. And I made this little cardboard thing cover because the sun beats on it, and I want to give the pepper plant a little more shelter on the bottom. Now I can cover this. I don't have to worry about the rain. I don't have to worry about if a rat came by or a squirrel to dig into my compost, because my compost tote is completely covered. I can put anything my heart desires in there, and it's all going to break down. And if you threw a chicken bone in there and it didn't break down, it doesn't matter. It creates space. But look at all those seedlings growing. And nope, we're not growing in here right now. Later on, look at the fruit flies. They're doing a job for me too. And if the hummingbirds find out, they're going to come hover around here looking for the fruit flies. They're going to go out of the holes that I just put around here. But anyways, now I can put anything I want in there. I can use the water all fall for all the plants growing on my deck. So I hope I gave you some ideas on how to compost now, whether you're gardening or not. With that, have a wonderful day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. And don't worry if it freezes. It'll thaw in the spring.